What's happening, people? Welcome back to my channel. You already know what it is. Big up to you know what? I don't even know if my sound's working. Yeah, it is working. It is working. Big up to everyone locked in on this wonderful Monday afternoon. You guys know what it is, man. Daily dose of Minna. We are here. We are live to talk all things Manchester United. Big up to everyone locked in. I hope you are having or have had a wonderful day. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. The end of match day 1 in the Premier League. And it looks like transfer talk is heating up again for Manchester United. Predominantly, I think outgoings is the biggest topic of discussion right now, but there is still some news about potential incomings. Now, what is my prediction? My prediction is Man United will have at least one player in the transfer window right now. I would like maybe 2 or 3, but I think the prediction will be that Manchester United will have at least one midfielder in. We're going to talk about that. Some news about Sandberg, some news about Scott McTominay, some news also about Manuel Ugarte. Manchester United reportedly edging closer to a move to get Manuel Ugarte through the door. However, PSG's sources are kind of downplaying it and saying that PSG are confident. Confident, that's a big word. They are confident that they will be able to get the price that they are asking for. And Man United sources are reporting that Manchester United will be able to maybe strike a deal for less than what they expect. Big up to everyone listening, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Please do hit the like button. If you are new here, please do subscribe. If you want to support the channel and you enjoy the content here on a daily basis, you can join the Minions gang, which is the membership club. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can by sending in super chats with your comments, with your questions, or if you just want to show some love. Big up to Tommy, says hi Minis. 11 p.m. in Indonesia right now. 11 p.m. Damn, that's like 7 hours. That's like nearly 7 hours. I will be going to that side of the world in about 6 weeks time, so I'm looking forward to doing streams at ungodly hours over there. Big up to Tommy. Salam Minna, big up. We need at least 2 midfielders. Honestly, one ain't enough. Firstly, wa alaikum salam. Secondly, I agree. I think United need 2 midfielders at the least. At the least 2 midfielders, which is what we're going to talk about. I think it's all to do with the financial situation. Big up to Tyrone, says assalamu alaikum Minna wa alaikum salam. Big up Ash as well, and Colin, OJ, lots of people in the chat. 9 p.m. in India. Let me know what time it is where you are watching from. It's 4:36 p.m. here in the UK right now. So let me know what time it is over there. You lot, I respect you lot, because if it's 9 p.m. right now, when United are playing at like 7:38 p.m., what time is it for you guys? That must be like, what, like 5, 6 in the morning. I respect it big time. I respect it big time. I'm not going to lie. I went to Indonesia once and I stayed up to watch Man United versus Arsenal, and Man United lost. It was not a good night. It was not a good night. So anyone that is in some different time zone, I rate it. 11:35 in Virginia, USA. 6:37, that must be somewhere in Africa. 5:37 in South Africa. Same here. 4:37 in Nigeria. Shout out to everybody tuned in from different parts of Africa. I'm seeing West, I'm seeing South. Maybe there's someone in the chat that's in East. I don't know. Where's all my East Africans at? But listen, let's get into it. Let's get straight into it. We got a little bit to talk about, and we're going to start with not this. We're going to start with this. Jared Brantwaite, reportedly Manchester United. I guess this is the confirmation that we kind of needed, but reportedly Manchester United do not intend to go in and make another bid for Jared Brantwaite. Manchester United are happy with the 2 centre-backs that they've signed, despite the fact that Lenny Yoro is obviously out injured. Man United are happy with the signings of Yoro and De Ligt and do not intend to go back and make a bid for Jared Brantwaite. I guess this kind of just confirms that Manchester United are maybe edging closer to the end of their transfer window. I definitely feel like if Man United had the finances and they had the midfielder already that they wanted, I would like the idea of maybe signing another centre-back. Now, Manchester United need depth in every position, but I think they also, the most important thing is not just depth, but it's the quality in the depth. So I understand why they're not going back in for Jared Brantwaite. I mean, Man United have spent essentially just under 100 million euros on 2 centre-backs. they're not going to go out and spend another 70 million on Jared Brantwaite. So unless Everton had any intention of decreasing that price, I think that's the only way that I would have seen Jared Brantwaite joining Manchester United. Now, what do we know, by the way, about Jared Brantwaite? We know that he's worked with Ruud van Nistelrooy. We know that it's not completely written off for Man United to potentially return for him in the next summer transfer window. We also know that he's agreed personal terms with Manchester United, reportedly 160k a week, and he is not willing to sign a new contract with Everton unless they match the offer that Manchester United gave him. So he's on I think it's 20k or 25 or 30k right now at Everton. And he said to Everton essentially a couple of weeks ago that 160k, match what Man United are paying me and I'll sign a new contract. Reportedly, just before when he reported back for pre-season, he did not want to sign a new contract. He was keen to join Manchester United. And this is what happens when I think you've got an unsettled player. I think when you've got an unsettled player that might not have, got the move that they might want. We've already seen what happened to Everton on the weekend. We know that outside of football, Everton are struggling in other ways financially, with their ownership, etc. They've got a £1 million stadium that they've just built, and then there's no guarantee that they will actually be in the Premier League to play in that stadium. So Everton have a lot of problems. Next summer, Man United might revisit this, but as for this season, the door is shut. The door is shut on the idea of signing Jared Brantwaite, another guy that Manchester United are not expected to go in for. And you know what? I'm not going to lie, guys. Out of all the kind of midfielders all the fullbacks, that Man United have been linked to on the left-hand side, he's actually not the worst out of all of them. I'm going to keep it a buck. He is not the worst. Ben Chilwell, reportedly, now if you look, let's take it back a couple of weeks ago when it was said that Man United were looking at left-backs alongside Mazraoui. One of the names that popped up was Ben Chilwell. Chelsea are obviously only looking to sell people permanently. You look at right now Chelsea's situation, and you lot know we always like to start the stream and talk about the nonsense that Chelsea are up to in the transfer window. If we look at what Chelsea is doing right now, they are not trying to sell certain players on loan. They're not trying to allow certain players to go out on loan. They are fully trying to sell them. And Ben Chilwell is one of them. Now, Manchester United reportedly are not interested in buying him. Essentially, they would have been interested in a loan move, potentially. But this is another potential deal that Manchester United can close the door on because it's not going to happen. And this is all, by the way, coming from Fabrizio Romano that was reporting this earlier today. Another person that Man United can shut the door on, it's not going to happen. And the biggest reason why is because Chelsea want him for a certain, price tag. And Manchester United are not really interested. And last but not least, this guy right here, Ferdi Kadıoğlu. I hope I've said his name right. Yeah, Ferdi Kadıoğlu. He's pretty much joining Brighton. So this is another player that we speak about sometimes here on the channel. We spoke about him even before Manchester United signed Nazir Mazraoui. We can accept now that it's likely that he will not join Manchester United. He will go to Brighton, and Brighton will probably go on to sell him for 60, 70 million at a later stage. But it is what it is. Brighton, by the way, have a very good team. Am I the only one that thinks, I don't know much about their manager, but I look at their team and I look at the young talents that they have, and especially the ones that they're bringing in this window. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Mintar. But Mintar and Kadıoğlu, or Mitoma and Kadıoğlu, that's a cheat code. That's actually a cheat code. What's the latest on Kadıoğlu? The latest on Kadıoğlu is he's expected to join Brighton. Personal terms are not an issue. I think Fenerbahce and Brighton are currently just, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. 35 million euros, by the way, which could actually go back. That's actually kind of a bargain, 35 million for Ferdi Kadıoğlu is actually a decent deal. That's a pretty decent deal, especially if Brighton, with the model that they have where they buy to sell, buy, develop, sell. If they go on to do that, they might be able to get 60, 65 million for him at a later stage in a couple of years. He'll go to Chelsea 70 million in Chelsea have given Brighton, I think it's like 200 and stuff, 250 million or something like that. They've given them something ridiculous. They've given them a ridiculous amount of money. Big up to Colin with the super chat, says great work, Minna. Come on United. Thank you, Colin. I appreciate the contribution and I appreciate the super chat, and come on United. By the way, guys, we're gonna get to it later in the stream, but let me know if you guys seen Flex on TalkSport. and the topic of discussion going around. Salam from Somaliland. So big up everyone from Somaliland. Shout out to all my landers. Shout out to everyone from Somaliland. Let me see what else you lot are saying. Big up MA says Brighton, excellent transfer window. Yeah, they're having a good transfer window. And if they get this kind of through the door, I'm not going to go and be like Brighton are finishing 3rd or 4th, but I think Villa, West Ham, Brighton arguably have had some good transfer windows. Like they've actually had better transfer windows than all the other, like the top 6 teams, like Man United, Arsenal. I think if you combine Man United, Arsenal, City, ignore Chelsea, but if you combine like those teams, they haven't really brought anyone. I think United's probably done the most business after Chelsea out of the top 6. So Brighton, Aston Villa, West Ham, they've all done pretty decent business. Salam, I'm from Mauritius in Africa. I always wanted to visit. Shout out to everyone from Mauritius. I got a lot of people in Africa from the chat. A lot of people in Africa. But we can kind of close the door, guys, on Ferdi Kadıoğlu. Do I want to close the door? No, but I think the most important thing right now is that we have to be realistic. And then when I say we have to be realistic in the fact that is Manchester United really going to go out and spend another 30-40 million euros on a fullback without getting a central midfielder in or a defensive midfielder? No. I think, when you build a house, you kind of build the foundations and then you build the sides and the roof. Like, I'm not, no pun intended, but I feel like it's easier to have no roof in a house than it would be to have no foundation, because it's just, I don't know, just my logic of building a house is better that you build the foundation first and then you build upwards. There's no point building the top part and then building downwards. It doesn't make sense. So with the fullback thing, Man United can accept the idea of Dalot, Mazraoui, Luke Shaw, Harry Amas for now, because that midfield thing is what they need to solve. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about, obviously, Manuel Ugarte. We're going to talk about Sandberg. We're going to talk about Scott McTominay, because Sky Sports has just reported something about 30 minutes ago about Scott McTominay. So we're going to talk about that. But let's quickly talk some Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho was reported in training today. He was in the pictures of the training pictures today at Carrington. He's clearly recovered from his ear infection. And just some information on the PSG situation. No formal bid. And I think that's the biggest thing that is kind of holding Jadon Sancho back from leaving, is the fact that every team that's potentially interested in him, no one's actually making a formal bid in comparison to, like Scott McTominay or Panathinaikos, etc. Panathinaikos bidding for Pellistri, etc., etc. Now, Jadon Sancho's agent reportedly has had contact with PSG many times throughout the last month. However, no formal bid has come in from PSG. What's the likelihood? Well, Fabrizio actually gave a number, and he said it's 60% likely that Sancho stays, and it's 40% likely that he goes. I don't know what those percentages are based on, but I think if the right bid comes in for him, then I think Manchester United would be able to look at the possibility to sell him. That's it. That's what I genuinely think. I think right now, the reason why it's 60-40, and you know what's funny, guys? I don't know if I can... I'm trying to turn around. Can you not see the shirt on my back? Can you see the shirt that I'm wearing? I'm literally wearing a Sancho shirt. No pun intended. It wasn't intentional, by the way. I just plucked out a shirt from my cupboard, and then it's only when I was getting ready to start the stream, I looked in the mirror and I realized I'm actually wearing a Sancho shirt on stream, and I'm talking about Sancho. Like I said, Fabrizio is reporting 60-40. I don't know where that number's coming from, by the way, that 60-40 number. But I just think that if Manchester United get a bid that's in the region that they're willing to sell him for, they will sell him in a heartbeat. I think if it's anything 30 plus, I think they're willing to sell him. This price tag of £50 million is a price tag that I'm not buying. It's absolutely, and when I say I'm not buying it, I mean, I don't think Man United are waiting for 50 million for Jadon Sancho. I think Man United know they will not get 50 million for him. I think the most important thing for Man United from an FFP perspective is if they are able to sell him for the 1 year amortization plus his wages and with a little bit of profit on top, which is sounds like it's about 35 million. So I think Man United, that's what they want. This 60-40 percentage, like I said, is just coming from Fabrizio Romano, probably from his sources. Obviously, I will say one thing though. Dortmund is funny because Dortmund were twerking for him. They were twerking for him. As if they were here posting about him, saying we always knew how talented he was when he was, batting up PSG in the Champions League and all of that kind of stuff. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your money where your mouth is. Obviously, we know historically Dortmund don't spend money like that. So asking them for 30, 35, 40 million is in their eyes, that's blasphemy. That is blasphemy. If they truly wanted him, they would have come in and bidded for him. Buying a player's name on your shirt is a curse on said player. Honestly, guys, you don't know. I'm not buying name shirts anymore. I've stopped. The last time I brought one was this one. This was the last. Well, not this. Ronaldo. This is the year that Ronaldo came, actually. So I got a Ronaldo shirt. But that was the last one I brought. I haven't brought any because I'm cursed when I buy people's names. I just get plain shirts, maybe my name on the back. That's about it. Sancho 60 million, no less. Harlem stand up 60 million is wild. 40 million max. Mano says Dortmund are jokers. Pay up as you love him so much. Facts, I agree. I absolutely agree. Dortmund are snakes, they sold him a dream, writing captions like welcome him home. Then after they use him, they dip. They literally, honestly, could have come in and brought him if they wanted to. And by the way, it's not just Dortmund, because PSG is another team that is the heaviest of links that we've seen, right? Juve was another team that was popping up. This is obviously before Mason Greenwood went to Marseille. Mason Greenwood was of more interest to Juve than Jadon Sancho was. Jadon Sancho was just a name that's popped up. And I think that's also what's hindered Manchester United's transfer window from like a cash flow perspective. A lot of the people they thought they'd be able to sell this summer, nobody's come in with bids for them. And the people that they didn't think they would sell is the ones that are coming in with bids for them. Willy Camboala, they probably had no intention to sell him, but a bid came in for him from Villarreal. So they were happy to let him go. The players that they did expect bids for, and we're going to come to it as well, Victor Lindelof, Manchester United reportedly have now accepted that he's just going to leave on a free next summer. Casemiro, nothing, no bids. Jadon Sancho, no bids. So I think Manchester United's cash flow issues this summer has also stemmed from the inability of them to sell people as well, which is really, really interesting. One more thing, just before we get onto the fun parts. This is just an interesting stat. Kobbie Mainoo won 13 duels in the opening weekend of the Premier League. And fun fact, no player in the Premier League won more duels than him this weekend. What a stat that is. You know what? I was watching Chelsea versus Manchester City yesterday. I know a lot of you guys were probably watching that game as well. And I just laughed because I looked at Chelsea's midfield and I thought, how can you spend 260 million? 250 million on your midfield of Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo, and your midfield is still ass. How is that possible? It made me appreciate Kobbie Mainoo more. Honestly, it made me appreciate him. And this season, I can see that he looks like he's gotten a bit taller. He looks like he's gotten a bit more, stronger. He's looking a bit more built. But I looked at Enzo yesterday and I thought, firstly, I don't like him, but you know why. But also, your ass. I don't know how Chelsea got fleeced into paying how much they did for him. Caicedo, I rate a little bit. Lavia, I rate a little bit. But that second goal that Man City conceded, I just laughed because Kovacic ran through Enzo, ran through Caicedo, and that was the player that Chelsea sold, and they replaced Kovacic with them guys. The joke sometimes write itself, but also when I do watch teams like Chelsea, etc., I appreciate talents like Kobbie a lot more. And I really, really hope Manchester United sort out this midfield thing this summer and get it over the line, whether it's Ugarte, whether it's Sandberg, whoever it is, just get the midfielder in to him. How does Joao Felix fit into Chelsea? Ornstein confirmed it. What? They are actually signing him. Is this our annual let's talk about Chelsea? Let's see what Ornstein is saying about this guy here. This is just a signing that just doesn't make sense. Honestly, this signing just does not make sense. Chelsea have reached an agreement with Atletico over a permanent signing of Joao Felix. Permanent personal terms already in place for the international Portuguese attacker to join Chelsea from Atletico on a 6-year contract with a 1-year option. If they are paying that 60 million, I have to click on the article to see. Okay, so there's nothing. It's funny, they're not reporting how much he's going for. Now, I think there's something going on that the FA need to investigate, because how are Chelsea are selling Gallagher for 36 million, but this was the reports, by the way, that in order for them to sell Gallagher, they had to take a player from Atletico. Originally, the first move for that player, for the striker, fell through. Now the second one is for Joao Felix. I just don't. Where are they putting him? Where are they putting him? Joao Felix for me is. You know what shocks me the most is they got him on loan last season and they didn't see him fit enough to buy him that summer. But now they've gone back to get him. How does all of this make sense? I need to watch more Chelsea content creators, because I need to see what they're saying. They've got Nkunku, who was playing left wing yesterday. I felt like he should have been playing in the middle. I generally felt like he should have been playing in the middle. You lot know my opinion on Nicholas Jackson. Cole Palmer, he was just all over the place yesterday, but we know where his strong suit is. Then they've got Raheem Sterling that they've exiled out of the team. Lukaku they've exiled out of the team. Broha they've exiled out of the team. They got Mandueke, they got Chukwemeka. They've got so many wingers, or forwards, should I say, that I just cannot keep up with. I cannot keep up with. And this is just another signing that makes no sense. Chelsea have spent 86 million so far this season. I think Felix is 60 million. I saw that the original links last week was saying that Atletico wanted 60 million and they rejected the first bid. So if Chelsea have actually turned around and paid 60 million euros for Joao Felix after you got him for a 6-month loan spell for 12 million and he didn't really impress, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. How are they going to get rid of this guy? And you know who's, again, Benfica is behind all of this. Benfica is another team behind all of this. Enzo, Joao Felix, Darwin Núñez, Gonzalo Ramos, all these players that they've sold for ridiculous prices, and they continue this. But anyway, let's focus on our window in it. Let's not look at these lot too much, Chelsea, because this is what, player number 557 for them. I don't even know how many people they've brought at this point, how many people they've got in their squad either. Now, coming out of French news, is that Manchester United and PSG are accelerating forward in the transfer for Manuel Ugarte. Now, Manchester United reportedly expect the price to be lowered and more in line with their expectations. However, PSG are confident in striking a financial deal that would allow them to recoup the 60 million that they've paid for. Now, also in that kind of same kind of conversation is Manchester United have had a bid rejected, reportedly again, for Sandberg. Now, I want to know if this is Man United's way of trying to get 2 players in through the door. Are they trying to get 2 players in through the door, or are they trying to see which one is more likely for them to get? Now, I understand Manchester United signing a player like Sandberg in the instance that Casemiro continues this run that he's having. Like, I would get it. Ugarte and Sandberg, for me, I feel like they are 2 different profiles. They are quite different in what Man United could do with. Can Man United do with both of them? 100%. I think 100%. For me, it's like there is never not enough for Manchester United. It's always good, like not to Chelsea's level when I say it's always good to have a lot of players, but it's also always good to have different profiles in midfield. I wouldn't want like 3 6s that all do the same stuff, because sometimes you might need a midfielder to sit back, relax, and just break down opposition attacks and just be a destroyer. And sometimes you might need someone that can build up from deep. Sometimes you don't always find a player that is both of them in one. So I get the need to have 2 different types. Now, how much do you say Sandberg is worth? He's been left out of, reportedly. Now, again, I was listening to the news today, and it was reported that Sandberg was left out of Burnley's fixture, not because of a move, but because of a potential injury. I'd take that with a pinch of salt. 20 million being rejected for Sandberg, for me, is definitely a reasonable price tag. 20 million. Anything more than that, Burnley must have lost their mind. Burnley reportedly are holding out for 30 million. Now, the expectation at Old Trafford is Man United, regardless, will sign a centre mid or a defensive mid. Regardless, Man United will sign a midfielder. But however, if they sign a second midfielder, that is dependent on Scott McTominay leaving. And the feeling around Old Trafford coming out of the first game is that Man United are understood to be happy to be able to keep Scott McTominay, and they will only consider offers if McTominay makes it clear that he wants to go, and only then if they are happy with the offer. So there's a lot of ifs in the Scott McTominay saga. There's so many ifs, and this for me is very clear and obvious that Erik ten Hag and Manchester United possibly don't want to sell him. Now, selling Scott McTominay has its benefits because financially it will help Manchester United, because from an FFP perspective, we already know it's 100% profit. They could reinvest that 30 million directly into signing a new central midfielder. But the fact that Man United are taking into consideration multiple things as to whether this move might happen, not only are they considering the price tag, and rightfully so, but they're also considering whether the player wants to go or not. So they could turn around and say, 30 million has come in for you from Fulham. Do you want to go? Do you want to stay? And if the player does not make it clear that he wants to stay, and the player says, you know what, I would be happy in this role that you have me in, Manchester United are willing to reject that and allow Scott McTominay to stay. Now, for me, it's like, why would they do that? And I try to think of all the possible reasons they would do that. I think it's because to them, Scott McTominay is probably a model player for academy kids. You look at Scott McTominay and you think, academy kid, come through, Manchester through and through, United through and through, come into the first team, over 200 appearances at senior level. On top of that, you think about all the, he's a model player for what they would want academy people to look up to, not necessarily by his technical ability or just generally his ability, but as a whole, he's a model player for academy players. Never in trouble, never in the media for the wrong reasons. Comes to work, does his job, keeps it moving. So I understand why Manchester United would do that. However, I'm going to look at the flip side and say Man United have to look past sentiment when it comes to letting go of players. Sentiment cannot be a reason that Manchester United keeps a player. Like Marcel always says, shout out to my brother Marcel, he's a surplus to requirements. Simple as that. He's a surplus to requirements. If Manchester United want to enhance their midfield and improve their midfield with quality, then they need to sell him and, reinvest that money to bringing in better talents, players who are on a technical level better. Now, he offers this chaotic change, yeah? And what I mean by chaotic change is when Scott McTominay comes on, the game plan is chaos. You're bringing him on for being this chaotic box crashing midfielder to just get in the box. That's it. That is chaos. If United want to dominate a game or they want to control a game, Scott McTominay will not be the first on the team sheet, nor will he be the first to come off the bench. Scott McTominay will only come on when the game plan is chaos. Let's go for chaotic football. That's it. But the thing that Man United can look at is be like, you know what? Out of all the players we are willing to listen to offers for, this guy's the only one that's actually bringing in interest. Outside of Fulham, and it's so funny because Fulham said they weren't coming in with a second bid, and now they turn around and said they'll make a third bid a couple of weeks later. Napoli are also interested with him, and Napoli want him, but Napoli are also using the argument that Dortmund and Juve, etc., have that they cannot afford 30 million. But in a world where I saw Harry Winks going for the price that he went, 20-something million, Scott McTominay will absolutely go for 30 million or more. I think Manchester United will accept a 25 plus 5 or 26 plus 4 or something like that that edges it closer to the 30 million mark. And then that will allow them to go back and buy the players that they want to play, that they want to buy and that they want to play. Now, do I see one of these guys coming in? Yeah, I do. I see Manuel Ugarte. The only way I see Manuel Ugarte not going to Manchester United is if PSG remain firm and remain stubborn with the idea that they are not budging on the 60 million price tag. That is the only way that I would see Scott McTominay not joining Manchester United. I'm Norwegian. I know Berge's story. I think if we get him and Ugarte, Berge will take Ugarte's spot in 12 months. He is just that type of player. Most do not know what sort of talent Berge is. I don't know what it is that people kind of snuff their noses at Sandberg, because I've seen it happening quite a lot, especially since United were linked to him. I think people will go on Wikipedia or go on Transfer Market and look at the teams that he's been at historically and think, okay, this is not a good guy. Arguably, with Ugarte, people will look at his time at PSG and judge him on that. And I always say, don't judge him on his time at PSG, but judge him on his time at Sporting, which maybe a lot of people didn't watch. But he was working under Ruben Amorim at Sporting in a similar role that Manchester United probably want him to be in under Erik ten Hag. If you watch Ruben Amorim at Sporting when he had Ugarte, etc., they played in a similar build-up phase as Manchester United tried to. The 3-1-6, the lone six. Ugarte did it, and he did it comfortably. His role at PSG was quite different, and especially because he was also in and out of the starting lineup and never really got a consistent run. But I genuinely think Man United will end up with Manuel Ugarte, just because I have a strong feeling every player that Man United have really wanted this window, that they've persisted with, they've signed them in the end. You know, a part of me felt like Man United might not have got that deal done for De Ligt and Mazraoui. But they did, because they persisted with it. And I think the same will happen with this deal here for Manuel Ugarte. Now, what do I price him at? I said 35 to 40 million. Nothing more than that. And even 40 million, I think, is being nice, because so much when Man United are selling players, people will be like, oh, but this person hasn't performed at Man United for a year. Well, we could say the same about him, but we can give him also that leeway, that grace of the fact that he was not, I don't think he was a managerial signing. I think he was I just feel like PSG just go out and just sign people from all the different leagues that I feel like they look at the best players in the league, in the French league, in the Portuguese league, etc., and then they just go and sign them. There's no vision whatsoever. And I think he kind of fell short to that situation. But I think 35 to 40 million should be able to get the job done. I think that is a reasonable price. Just a little update on that as well. Manchester United are reportedly willing to wait until transfer deadline day to try and sign Manuel Ugarte. There does not have to be any outgoings to finance this deal, although PSG's valuation, we already know, is deemed too high by United, and there is belief that they may reduce it as the deadline nears. So Manchester United are possibly playing hardball. They might be like, you know what, let's wait until the transfer window is coming to an end, and by the time it gets to Friday, 30th August, PSG might be panicking. Why? Because I'm going to lose my job. No, but they might be panicking and thinking, you know what, we've spent all this money. They still, by the way, want to go out and sign a new forward, because Gonzalo Ramos is now out injured for, I think, like 4 months. So they might feel like, you know what, we're going to have to go and sign and sell Ugarte come deadline day, and we might have to lower the price. Now, that has also, by the way, that information is coming from Jamie Jackson. And that kind of further proves the theory that Scott McTominay's sell could possibly finance the move for Sandberg. Now that Yusuf Fofana, it broke my heart today, guys. It broke my heart yesterday, when I saw the pictures of Yusuf Fofana in his AC Milan shirt signing his contract. My heart broke a little bit. But we move. So it looks like Manchester United, possibly, if they do sell Scott McTominay, they could be looking to buy Sandberg. And regardless of whether they sell Scott McTominay or not, they will be getting Ugarte or a midfielder in through the door. I think he was definitely what they budgeted for, but 60 million euros or 51 million pounds is definitely no way is it what they budgeted for him. Now, another midfielder Manchester United could potentially get rid of is also this guy here, Christian Eriksen. Reportedly, Ajax are interested in signing him. He's another surplus to requirements. I think he was a stopgap signing when United got him on a free 2 seasons ago. When we got him, the idea of him on paper was good. There was a few games where he really made a difference. But let's be honest, the league's too fast for him. He's not the player that he once was. Age has caught up with him. And there's better midfield options out there in the world of football than what he offers right now. So I understand Manchester United trying to get rid of him. I think the ask price for him will be very, very low. I don't even think it's going to be that high. I think it's going to be very, very low of a asking price. I think they might even say, you know what, something like 3 million. 2 million, like something stupid like that might be the price tag that they might be willing to sell him for, because he did an interview a couple of weeks ago where he was kind of implying that his plan is to stay at United, and he's going to try stay at Manchester United, and whether he plays or not is kind of up to the manager. But he sounded like he wasn't fussed about not being a starting option. And where, in what team? There's no team in the Premier League I'd look at him and think Christian Eriksen is a starter there. There's no team. I think he was a stopgap for when United got him that summer. I think they should have got him on a 1-year deal. I don't know why they gave him a 3-year deal. But that summer that they got him is Erik ten Hag's first summer. They're trying to get Frankie de Jong. There's a good, decent midfielder available on the market for a decent wage and no fee. No harm in getting him. But that's it. Really, that's it. I don't see him offering anything this season to Manchester United. I think the only way he actually plays is if everyone gets injured. The only way I see him playing for Man United this season is if Casemiro's injured, McTominay's injured, Collier's injured, Kobbie Mainoo's injured, Mason Mount. Unless everybody is injured, I do not see Christian Eriksen playing. And that's just my personal opinion. Just another quick update on this guy right here. Another player that Manchester United are willing to sell is Hannibal Mejbri. He's expected to leave Manchester United in the later stages of the transfer window. There were a few teams kind of interested in him, including Rangers, including Celtic. But reportedly now there are options for him in Spain and France. Manchester United are looking to sell him. This will not be a loan move. This will be purely selling him. I don't know if they're going to recoup the full 10 million or whatever it was that they spent on him when they brought him for the academy. But this is another player that just never really became what we thought he would become. And I'm saying we because I've watched him a lot when he was at Birmingham City on loan. And for me, he never really gave that regular first team depth player. I just didn't see it. I just didn't see it in him, unfortunately. He did give us some good memories. I remember when he came in and the first thing he did was like the Liverpool game, I think, when he just flew into a tackle straight away, and then everyone praised him for that. And then suddenly everyone gets angry when he's always flying into tackles. But when he did it at Liverpool, everyone was praising him for it. But that's Hannibal Mejbri in a nutshell. The Tunisian will be leaving Manchester United. And again, this just shows how Manchester United's historical transfer windows just never made any sense. Because you look at all the players that came in 2018, 2019, etc., especially for the academy, not really any of them have actually made it into the first team. I think Amad Garnacho, that's it. Alvaro Fernandez gone, Pellistri leaving, Hannibal Mejbri leaving. So it is unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. And I think what hasn't helped with Hannibal's situation either is he lacks maturity on the pitch. And what I mean by that is he lacks maturity where he feels like he can just always lunge into tackles or just like, this fire in a player, etc. It's praised at some in some moments and some situations, but you can't have that all the time where you're everyone's gonna be scared every time that you're chasing a player down, because you might just lunge into a tackle and get sent off. The walking red card is leaving. That's crazy, calling him a walking red card. Hannibal needs to mature his game more, 100%. And he went out on these loan spells and he never really got any chances. And I think that says a lot. And like I said, another player expected to leave Manchester United as well is Facundo Pellistri. Panathinaikos reportedly are willing to pay 8.5 million for him. So that is the potential price. Good on him. Like, people always say he never got chance in the team. I just think he wasn't good enough. I think he's good for the Elanga type of levels where, when you need people running into spaces, etc. He's good at that. But let's be honest, Facundo Pellistri, I don't think was gonna make it at United. I really don't think so. And we could say that he didn't get his fair chances, but he probably got the most chances than Alvaro Fernandez, Ethan Laird, Hannibal Mejbri. He definitely got more chances than they did. 8.5 is a good price tag for him, and hopefully this will allow Manchester United to not do what they did in that window when they just brought in a bunch of young talents across Europe into the academy, and none of them really made it into the first team except for Ahmad and Garnacho. And last but not least, on the outgoings, Victor Lindelof is expected to remain at Manchester United for the rest of the season and will leave on a free. Manchester United are expecting and planning for him to leave on a free. Now, I don't know if it's because of these crutches that he was walking around with, and he was pictured with online, where, like, having crutches. I don't know if it's because he's injured, or I don't know if it's because there's a lack of bids coming in for him. But Manchester United are now planning for Victor Lindelof to leave on a free next summer. Now, this also kind of supports Manchester United in the fact that, I don't know if you lot remember earlier in the transfer window, before United signed Lenny Yoro, before United signed Matthias de Ligt, it was reported that Manchester United would sign 3 centre-backs. 3 centre-backs in the window. Now, Manchester United are not signing 3 centre-backs. They've only signed 2. And now we have some confirmation that the depth centre-back options, or the backup options, will be Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, and then obviously you got De Ligt, you got Yoro, and you got Lisandro Martinez. So hopefully they can all stay fit, and we wouldn't have to call upon Victor Lindelof, etc. But that's 5 million down the drain, because Man United, I think, were expecting to get bids in and around the region of 5 million for Victor Lindelof. They've accepted now they're not going to get any bids in for him. He did have, I think it was clubs interested in him in Europe, Turkey as well. Jose Mourinho reportedly was interested in a reunion with him, but that's not going to happen, and he's going to stay. Will Scott McTominay leave? Right now, we don't know. Right now, we don't know. We know that the only thing we do know is that Fulham are expected to make a new bid for Scott McTominay for around £30 million. We don't know what the breakdown of that is. We don't know if it's 25 plus 5 in add-ons, etc. But we know Man United value him at around 30 million. We also know that Manchester United are reportedly taking into consideration multiple things when it comes to selling Scott McTominay. They are taking into consideration the price or the offer made for him, and they are also taking into consideration if Scott McTominay makes it clear that he wants to go. Now, I've seen reports about Scott McTominay that has suggested that what he wants is kind of guaranteed game time. And if he goes to Fulham, I think it's because Fulham will offer him guaranteed game time. Scott McTominay is a player that's always fit, always ready, always available. So there's no reason why, if you are that keen on signing him, and like I said, with Harry Winks, etc., going for 2025, with people like Emil Smith-Rowe going for like 25, there's no reason why Scott McTominay can't go for 30. There is no reason. And one thing else that we do know as well, big up Elite Baller for putting this here, is that United do not need to sell Scott McTominay or anyone else to finance a deal for Ugarte. So regardless of whether Scott McTominay leaves or not, Man United can buy Ugarte. But if they do sell Scott McTominay, that will allow them the financial opportunity. It will allow us the financial opportunity to go and get another midfielder. Which is likely to be Sandberg, because we also know that reportedly Manchester United have had a 20 million bid for Sandberg rejected by Burnley. So I think what will happen is, regardless of whatever happens with Scott McTominay, I think Manchester United will get the deal done for Manuel Ugarte. I think it's just a matter of time. Jamie Jackson was also reporting that Manchester United are happy to wait until transfer deadline day to get a move done for him. There's no urgency to get the move done. And also, I think what helps is also the resurgence of Casemiro. I think had Casemiro been playing so bad, I think Man United would have sped up the process a little bit and kind of pushed in the negotiations to kind of get the deal that they wanted. But I think they've got a bit of peace of mind where they probably think, you know what, we don't actually need to push for Ugarte and we can wait to deadline day. So that is one thing that we also know as well. And we also know, like I said, that if Man United do sell Scott McTominay, I think we can expect to see Sandberg coming into Manchester United, not for the 30 million that Burnley want, but I will say also, if it's not Sandberg, it could actually possibly be another midfielder. Now, there are other midfielders that Man United have been linked to, most historically, Sofyan Amrabat, who I don't know, by the way, where has he been for Fiorentina? Has he been playing? Does anyone know, by the way, if he's been playing for Fiorentina or anything in pre-season? Because I haven't seen anything about him. Literally, I ain't seen one thing about Sofyan Amrabat. Maybe I should look it up. Has Sufyan Amrabat been playing? But Manchester United are reportedly still keeping an eye and are keen to sign him. I don't know if he's played. Amrabat is refusing to train with Fiorentina. No way. Again, he did that last season as well. He did that last summer as well when he was trying to get that move to Manchester United done. He was refusing to play. Let me see. Apparently he's played. He played the other day for Fiorentina. Let's see. Let's see how many minutes he played. Let's see how many minutes he played. I don't think he played a lot. Oh, he played the whole 90. He played the whole 90. All right, cool. So he's staying fit. He's staying fit, but maybe with the potential hopes that Manchester United come back in for him in the window. He played yesterday. Yeah, he did. He played the full 90, I think. That's what it says on Transfer Market. So I'll assume that it's factual. Can United go back for him in the window? I don't know. I wouldn't count it out. But it wouldn't make sense to me personally if Manchester United was to sign Ugarte and they have Amrabat and they got Casemiro. That for me wouldn't make sense. For me, I think an Ugarte and Sandberg makes sense. I think I've also said before Sandberg and Yusuf Fofana makes sense. Partnering Sandberg with a destroyer or a natural 6 makes sense. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be the double pivot, but you've got that option. And it gives you the opportunity to kind of wean Casemiro slowly out of the team. If Man United are intending to try and sell him next summer, they can just wean him out of the team bit by bit. Will I expect both of them to come? Nah. I don't actually expect them both to come. So if Man United can kind of get that over the line, that would be amazing. That would be an amazing end to the transfer window. And last but not least, Ivan Toney. What do we know about Ivan Toney? We know that Man United are apparently the only English team interested in him. We know that he was left out of the game yesterday by Thomas Frank because reportedly he was edging closer to a move to potentially leave. Man United are not buying him. I do not think Man United are buying him, but I said this weeks ago, guys. I told you, if you lot remember, I told you lot weeks ago that there was interest in Saudi. Someone I know in Saudi told me there was interest from 2 teams in Saudi, and Al Ahly were likely to make the bid for him. Fabrizio Romano has kind of confirmed that that Al Ahly are now in ongoing negotiations with Ivan Toney, and there's a concrete possibility of him joining the Saudi Pro League. He will be what? Another striker that's gone there? We know Mitrovic has gone there as well. So that's another striker from the Premier League that will be going to Saudi Arabia. I hope if he does go, like I said, bro, don't do any betting. That's all I have to say. Do not do any betting. Because your ass is going to jail if you do. It's illegal in that country. That's illegal in Saudi. But listen, what they're probably offering him is probably life-changing money that United ain't going to do. And what they're also probably offering is a price or a fee that's more in line with what Brentford want. Now, Brentford, I think, waited a bit long to kind of get him off. I think they waited a bit long to get him off their books. They were playing it kind of risky with his 12 months left on his contract. I do think that they were playing it a bit risky. But all that matters is the deal that they're getting done. I think that's the only thing that matters. I think Man United were never gonna. I'm saying Man United were never gonna sign him, and when I say never gonna sign him, I don't think he was top of the list for Manchester United to get him. I really don't think he was top of the list. I think there was a lot of things that maybe is not aligned with what Manchester United wanted. And I also just laugh at the fact that there was not any other kind of big team interested in him in the Premier League, despite the fact that there are quite a few teams were looking for a striker this window. Spurs went for Solanke. Arsenal haven't made a move for a striker, despite the fact that they were linked to Benjamin Sesko earlier in the window. Chelsea, despite the fact that they got 50, 100, 1,000 million players, have not looked in Ivan Toney's direction. Who else? There's so many teams that could have done. West Ham, I'm not saying that Brentford is West Ham is an upgrade from Brentford, but West Ham wanted a striker and they signed Fulkrug. Nobody has really met what Brentford wants. I think Brentford waited because they thought there was going to be a bidding war for him. Yeah, 100%. I think had they sold him, had he not got banned last summer and they sold him that summer, they probably would have got 60 million for him. And maybe that was their plan. Maybe their plan was to sell him for 60 million last summer. But then the betting scandal happened and he basically missed it half of the season. And by that time, I think his price depreciated because there's more risk in buying him, number one. And number two, they probably realize now that it's kind of, they waited until this summer when there's 12 months left on his contract. And clubs might be happy to just be like, you know what, we'll wait another 12 months. We'll wait another 12 months. Toney goes Chelsea if PSG get Osimhen. I'm calling it now. I would not put it past PSG to buy Victor Osimhen. I would not put it past them. However, I will say I don't think they will buy him because he's going for like 100, 120. And obviously, yes, Gonzalo Ramos is out injured. But I think they wanted... I saw reports at the beginning of the window that was saying that PSG wanted Kvaratskhelia originally and Napoli were not willing to sell him. And now Napoli are obviously scratching their heads because they agreed that they had a gentleman's agreement in place with Victor Osimhen to allow him to leave, but no one's willing to pay what they're asking for, which is like 100, 120, and that's a lot. That is a lot of money. But I could see it too. If Chelsea don't get Victor Osimhen and he goes to PSG instead, listen, Ivan Toney will be an amazing striker, I think, at whatever team he goes to. I would love to see him stay in Europe. Honestly, I would love to see him stay in Europe. Is it because of gambling controversy or is he being blackballed? I think it's just the risk element that clubs might think he comes with. Because if you're signing someone that has had a betting ban or any sort of ban, there is risk that it could happen again. So I think that's the risk. I don't think he's being blackballed because he was still taken to England. He was taken to the Euros by England. And I don't think it's a controversy. I just think it's the risk of him possibly being caught up in a scandal again, which might put teams off. Osimhen is overpriced and gets too many injuries. Listen, Victor Osimhen is an amazing striker, but I think in the right system, he'll work. And last but not least, what time is my stream? Shit, I've got 4 minutes. I've got 4 minutes, guys. Last but not least, I just want to quickly touch on the video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If not, go and watch it on TalkSport's YouTube channel, or you can go and check it on Flex's Twitter page, where Flex was on TalkSport talking about Manchester United. And there was a Chelsea fan, I think a Spurs fan, and it was on a TalkSport show. I don't really watch TalkSport, I'm not going to lie, but I watched this one video. Because I just feel like, what is people's obsessions? And I'm talking, when I say people, I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about the mainstream media as well as the online world of media when it comes to football. What is people's obsessions with downplaying everything Man United are doing this summer transfer window? What is it? Because if people are not downplaying the takeover or the structure in place, they're downplaying the transfers that United are making. Had Man United gone and paid 75 million for Jared Brantwaite, people would have been like, oh, United getting fleeced again. They didn't learn from Harry Maguire. But United spending 41 million on Matthias de Ligt. People are turning around and saying, oh, Bayern Munich reject, Juve reject, this reject, that reject. Honestly, United cannot win. They cannot win. When United were making stupid decisions, everybody was like, where's your DOF? Where's your sporting director? Where's this? Where's that? Now that Manchester United have that in place and they are approaching windows more cautiously and they are doing things in line with their own expectations, not the expectations of the selling club, people are still getting mad. People are still getting mad. I just laughed. I watched the video and I laughed because people were rolling their eyes. They were just making like sarcastic remarks, etc., etc. But the day that Manchester United get back to that level, to the top where they belong, listen, rival fans, the media, the British media are going to have a meltdown. They are going to have a meltdown. Bear in mind, Manchester United are the only team that have transfer fees reported on mainstream media with add-on prices on it to make it seem like it's bigger than what it is. When people were reporting about the Haaland transfer when he joined Manchester City, they were using some bullshit number, excuse my language, but they were using this bullshit number that they were saying, oh, 40 million or some nonsense like that, not taking into consideration all the add-ons that they paid. But when it's Man United and they want to report about Lenny Yoro, or they want to report about De Ligt, or they want to report about Nazir Mazraoui, just so that it seems like Man United paid more than what they did. People will report it either with the add-ons, or they'll go one step forward and they will report it in euros. And I just can't help but laugh. I really just can't help but laugh. Based on this transfer window, and we're going to do a call-in show. I'm going to do a call-in show, inshallah, God willing, towards the end of the deadline, where we're going to talk about the transfer window and we're going to rate what Ineos's first window has been. I guarantee you a lot of Man United fans will feel happy and feel like a bit eased at what Ineos have done. Bear in mind, it's not over what Ineos are doing. It's not over. There is still so much to do, right? But no one can say they're not getting the foundations right. They've not got the foundations right, because they have. They have. Mina, honestly, United fans love to get triggered. Clickbait is like crack to United fans. We will click, we will comment, we will rage. That's true. That is true. They do. United fans do love it. The thing is, and there's a lot of United fans online as well. So it's true. It gets you clicks. It gets you clicks. Maybe that's why, I don't know, negativity brings you views, I guess. I don't know. I just watched that video. I laughed. I don't really watch TalkSport. I don't usually watch it, but I just watched that one video. Big up to everyone. Listen, guys, be sure to hit the like button, or be sure to subscribe. It's the road to 6K. We hit 5.7K yesterday, which means, if I'm doing the maths properly, I hit 5K a month ago, or just under a month ago. It looks like we can hit a K every month. And if we continue at that, we could be on 10K before my birthday, which is really the goal. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe for another daily dose of Mina. If we get any here we goes, or we get any significant news between now and tomorrow, you don't know, I will be live. Don't go anywhere, because this will redirect you to the next video that I will be on, which will be the Straight Jacket podcast on Saeed's channel. Thought it was your birthday yesterday. No, guys, it was not my birthday. I don't know where it came from. Honestly, I actually was picking my head today, trying to figure out where the hell did this rumor come from that it was my birthday. I know you lot were trolling me in the chat as well. That didn't really help. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, inshallah, God willing. But like I said, if there's any news between now and tomorrow, you don't know, I will be live. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. It's the road to 6K. You guys know what it is. We got another call-in show, inshallah, Thursday evening. After the full view, we'll have a call-in show here, and we'll talk about, obviously, the week of transfers and the upcoming game against Brighton, man. You don't know what it is. Hit the like button on your way out. Don't go anywhere, because this will redirect you to the Straight Jacket podcast on Saeed's channel. Come through and put minions in the chat. I'm out, guys. I hope you have a blessed one. Peace.